Hello and welcome to the next part. I think this is part 6, or it could be part 7. Why don't we find out? So if you've not been following along already, what we have is we've been building a forum with Jamstack Tech. Let's have a look at the playlist, see what we are up to. Okay, so we did part 6 already. This is actually part 7. I'll rename the video afterwards. I keep getting... I think I'm doing more videos than I had planned originally per day, but I think this is good. So let's dive in now. So what do we have on localhost 3000? So we've got the ability now we can log in, and we can log in with our email, and then once we're logged in, we can refresh, and that state persists. So what we've got to do now is I would like for us to create a form that we can submit data into Hasura for our posts. If you're not familiar with what Hasura is, it is a hosted backend. It's kind of a really nice wrapper on top of a Postgres database, and you can kind of extend it. You can stitch remote schemas and permissions and have I don't know, background jobs and stuff. It's all kind of taken care of for you, so it's quite nice. So we're using this. But what we want to do now is we want to have a mutation. We want to run a mutation based on form data, and these will go in the format of a thread and a post, I think is what we intended for this to be. So when you want to create a new thread, you'll click the title of the thread, and then we'll populate the ID and category of that person. So we've got to figure this out. Jump back to way back when, the Wayback Machine. This was something that I used many years ago, which is what we're getting the inspiration from to create this thing. So ours is going to be very bare bones, and I've only just remembered this icon thing. When you created threads, you could kind of choose an icon to kind of give a vibe or something for the thread. So maybe we'll introduce that at a later stage. We haven't got that set up on the database. Yes, we could go ahead and create the column, but I don't think we'll do it just yet. We'll probably revisit that. And then we've got different kind of formatting modes as well. I don't think we need to do this just yet. Let's just get data going in, and we've got a form, and then we can come back and revisit it. So what we'll do is we'll use React Hook form, like we did in the previous video for our registration forms, but this time we'll create a page and we'll call it /ask. So let's first of all open up our layout, and we'll add another link to the header, I think. We'll add a link directly after the button here, and we'll just call this ask a question. And well, this won't be a button, will it? This will be a link, and that will go to /ask, and then we'll put ask a question. If I remember rightly, Next.js, does it still require us to add the A tags? I think I remember reading somewhere that in a recent edition that's no longer required. So that should just render as a normal A tag. Okay, so we've got this ask a question link, and it goes to a 404. So let's build this page now with a form. And I think what we'll do is we'll just take this index page, and we'll create a page called ask.js, and we'll name this ask a question page, or it could just be ask. Then we'll just add an h1 at the top of the page, and we will have the title ask a question. So what we should be able to do now is head on back here, refresh. This page will then show up, and if we get the styling, minimal styling for the H1 from our login page, don't worry, we will update this layout to pass these things as props, and we'll automatically display the header, I think, in some cases, so we don't have to kind of style this. And we'll probably move this to a component as well, so it just makes things a little bit nicer, and we don't have to duplicate those classes. And that's kind of one of the things I think people who are new to Tailwind kind of get a bit freaked out by, that you've kind of got these classes thrown around the place. but you can just write a component like you would normally and use that class once, and use something like class names or class cat to concatenate strings depending on props and stuff. So I really like it. I much prefer it over style components and kind of this kind of the style system stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with it for this project. So let's kick things off, and we'll import useForm from React hook form, and then we're going to go ahead and, just like we did in the previous video, we will destructure handle submit and register. And what else did we use? We grabbed errors, form state, and set error. Let's just grab errors and form state. I don't know what I'm going to do for set error. I don't think we've got any server-side errors at the moment. If we do, we'd probably need to kind of make them prettier, because they're going to come in. Those errors will be coming directly from Hasura. So I imagine we'll need to make that a little bit nicer and kind of wrap the responses in some kind of GraphQL error formatter, so it makes sense to the user. And that's maybe when we introduce the locale library. So now we've got these, let's first kick things off by creating a form, and we'll say on submit. It'll be handle submit, and we'll pass in on submit as our function. And we're going with the same names as we did in here, so it just makes sense that it's consistent. So I'm going to copy that function, and we'll call we'll just get rid of this stuff for now. I'll just comment this out as well, and I'll comment that, and we'll just console log any errors that come back from Hasura, and then we can kind of deal with those at a later point. Let's first just get the form working, shall we? So what are we going to need in here? We're going to need a few inputs. We're going to need the title and category of the thread and the message itself. So I'm going to copy this input here, and we'll call this title. You must provide a thread title. Just say title because the context is thread. We'll just call this title here as well. Then the error will be title. Let's just double check that is the case. I can't remember. Threads, title, yeah. So we've got title and locked, answered, and pinned. Those are default, and those are default to false. That's what we set up. And author ID should be automatically set for us, because we said that was the case. If we modify this, where we put this somewhere. Where did we put this? We put this somewhere. We said when a new post is made, take the user ID for the user. So where will that be in Hasura? User, threads, user can insert, column presets. That's what we're looking for. And actually in here, we're not doing that. So we'll say author ID from a session variable, and that will be user ID. Now we'll have that in the JWT claim. So that's what that is. We didn't do anything else there, did we? Nope. Column select. That was fine. Posts, we'll go to permissions, go to user, and we'll check column presets. Yeah, we didn't do this either. Or did we, and it's just not shown? I'm not sure. But all this is doing, when we send a request to Hasura, it'll be able to get from the session or from the JWT that we send the it'll match that field, so we don't have to provide author ID. It will automatically be preset. I'm sure we set this up when we set the database up, so maybe this is saved somewhere else. I'm just adding these now because I'm paranoid that they are not done. But let's go back and edit one and see. Yeah, it's there. So maybe we didn't do it. Maybe we pretended to. Right. Okay. Now then, we need to insert a new thread. Let's get back on topic. So we'll save this and we'll have a title field. Then we need to have some kind of select, and that select will be for the name of this will be category ID. Yeah, ID, we'll just say category ID as well, and then we'll specify a reference here, and we will say this is required. You must select a category for your thread. And we'll open that up, and then at this point we'll probably iterate through all of our categories, and categories have an ID and a name. So we'll destructure those, and we'll simply make an option, and we'll say the value is ID, and then we'll show the name. And let's not forget the key there as well. Now if I save this, it is going to complain that categories is not defined. So let's do that. Let's grab categories here. Now you're saying, where does categories come from? Well, this is where we can use Next.js's getStaticProps method. And what this does, if we export this const, so we'll do a export const getStaticProps. We'll make this an async function, and we'll simply return an error function here. Now what we're going to need to do is we will need to fetch the categories from the server and then return them to the page, and we return them here. So this will be categories. Now then, there's maybe a few ways we can do this. I think for this page, we could use Asura admin client to fetch the categories, because getting the categories really, I don't think is user dependent. It doesn't depend on the user, does it? Like it doesn't matter if you. Well, I guess for the categories that we have at the moment, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on the context of the user, unless we had like private categories, then I guess it would. And because the way we are storing the auth token, the server wouldn't have access to it. It would have to use a cookie to store our token, and we haven't done that so far, so let's just stick with the bare bones here. What I might do, yeah, I think we might just use Hasura admin client, because that can fetch everything, and then we'll need another client at some point for the front end that is based on the user. So let's import the Hasura admin client from lib Hasura admin client, and then let's go ahead and also import GQL, and we'll write that query now. So we'll write query and we'll call this get categories, or get categories like this, and we'll just write the query inside, which will be query, and we could just do this, categories ID and name. Then we can use this is a GraphQL request. It's a GraphQL client that's returned to us. So inside of here we can do const. We'll destructure the response categories, because that's what's going to come back, and then we'll do Hasura admin client request, and we'll say get categories. We don't need to pass in any variables. this is going to run the admin client, which happens at build, and it won't run on the client, I don't think. I can't remember. This is just purely for static output, so that because it has this, this page will build statically, so we won't expose that token on the client, I don't think. I think that's right. So now if we refresh this page, it's taking a bit longer because it's having to run that query. And then now we get our 4 categories: general, JavaScript, APIs, and markup. Sweet. Right, so we've got that and that. Then let's put that error in. Category ID. We don't have a button, do we? Go to pages, and we'll just steal the button we had before. And we'll go down here, and we'll add that button, and we'll say create thread, or post. I don't know, whatever. We'll click post. You must provide a title. It's chosen that one by default as the first one, so that's good. That's obviously given us an error because we haven't done anything. Now, obviously, the form isn't doing anything yet. Let's now do the same. We'll add a field for the text area, and we'll just say this is text area. Write a message. You must provide a message for your thread. We'll simplify these error messages and probably, like I've said previously, introduce some kind of locale library or IE2N library so we can kind of standardize the messages and kind of make them dependent on your context. Cool. So if you have just joined, thank you. Hello. We are building a forum with Next.js and GraphQL, and we're having fun. We've been at this 3 days now. Yeah, we've been at this 3 days, 2 or 3 episodes per day. So spending 2 or 3 hours on this a day, and hopefully by the end of the month we'll have some kind of forum going. So we're not too concerned about styling at the moment. We're just kind of getting functionality going, which I'm pleased with. We're getting there. Message. Okay, so that form is submitting, and what we'll do is we'll just say we'll console log the category ID, name, and title, and then we will destructure category ID, name, not name, title, message. Now we've got those saved. Let's go ahead and just post, and you'll see we get category ID, message, and title. That's what's given to us, which is cool. Okay, so we need to send this somewhere. Where are we going to send it? We're not going to send it to an API route because we want to send along our token because we need to check whether or not the user can actually post. So we're going to post directly to Hasura, and we're going to send along our JWT when we do that. So let's have a look at Hasura and see inside of GraphQL what this mutation looks like. And I'm just going to call this insert thread. We're going to need to insert some variables. We know that. And this is insert threads 1. We pass in an object. And we don't need to pass the author because that's going to come from our context. That's why we set up those column presets before. It will get it from Hasura user ID, which is in the JWT. And if you didn't see that, or just a quick reminder, inside of here, we are creating the claim for all of the claims for Hasura, adding that and signing the JWT. And it is this here. It would automatically populate the author ID for us, which is nice. We haven't got to handle that separately. But we do need to specify category ID, and we'll call this category ID here. I kind of want to do this so it matches, but let's do title. And the last one was message. Yep. And then we'll bring back the ID of that post. So this is complaining. Okay, so threads don't have messages. That's right. What we'll need to do is we'll need to specify posts, and this time we'll specify the data for our post. And again, we'll pass in message as message, and because we're creating that inside of a thread in the mutation, it knows what the thread ID is, and it also knows what the author ID is because we also set that as a context. So we are inserting a new thread that belongs to a category, it has a title, and has many posts. Those posts belong to authors, which is the user that is sending the request, and those posts also have messages, and they belong to a thread. So, and then we just return in that. So if we run this, it's going to error because we haven't passed any variables, and it's here we'll need to pass the variables. We'll actually first need to declare those variables up here. So we'll say category ID, and I know that is UUID. And then we've got title, which is of string, and message variable, that is also a string. We run this, it's going to error because we haven't passed anything down here. If we did this, it would probably error that we haven't got a title. So let's just add these: title, this, message, that. This will also error, I think, because the category ID doesn't exist. So it's an invalid UUID that would need to be valid and also exist for it to hook that up. Okay, so we got this at least. This is all we need. Let's just make this look a bit nicer. And right at the top here, we will do const insert thread GQL. And we'll paste this mutation in. And then now we'll need to run that mutation on the client. We'll need to run this on the client. So when I said before we run this server side to get the categories, we're now going to need to make a request to Hasura from the client that isn't the admin client. So we're going to need to probably set that up now as well. Yeah, let's do exactly that. Let's import Hasura client from lib Hasura client, Hasura user client. Yeah, we'll call it Hasura user client so it's a bit clearer what's going on. So this is the user context now. It will use the token. So we'll need to set that up. Hasura user client.js. I'm just going to open these up side by side because these are mostly they're mostly similar. Let's look at the context and see what we saved. We saved the token here, and this is persisted to Jamstack forum auth. Maybe we could have just saved the variables individually instead of creating an object and making things a little bit easier. So I think here we'll also export GQL from GraphQL request. Let's create a token in here. Do we do this here? Let's just check to see if this is type of let's check the window is actually defined. So if it's undefined, then so if the window is not equal to undefined, then here we can specify the token. So let's just do const user, and we'll do local storage dot get item, and we'll get Jamstack forum auth, and then we will do token equals user.token if it exists, otherwise it'll be undefined, right? And this won't use anything. Yeah, I think this is fine. Hasura, we may need to put this in a function. This may need to go inside of here. Let's just try it out first. So this, I remember, is called authorization, and the Hasura auth, the JWT, was a bearer token. It was bearer token auth. JWT. JWT, yeah, we looked at that. Okay, so send a JWT via authorization header, bearer, and then the token. So the token we have in local storage, we pass through here as the bearer token. So this will be bearer, and then this will grab token from here. Now we only want to specify that if that exists. So we'll do token, and then we'll just return an object, and we'll spread that object that we're creating in line if token exists to headers. Otherwise, if this is undefined, it doesn't spread anything because that's undefined. That's how that works. So that should work. Just trying to see if there's anything glaring out. Okay. Use effect. Did we call parse anywhere in here? Did we parse this? Yeah, okay, so we're parsing. Yeah, it's stringified, so what we'll need to do up here is json.parse. We'll wrap that around this. Now, there's probably a much better way to do this. Please let me know if there is. We're just doing this on the fly, and hopefully we get somewhere. Radio. So we've got Hasura user client. It's got our token. We don't need in there anymore. And then down here, we can just call. So I don't like that I'm importing GQL. I'm exporting it in two different places. But there'll be times where I only ever import this, and it's a bit annoying to kind of just import from two different files. So I don't know if that's going to cause us problems or it's going to add to the bundle, but I guess since we're using it and we're not using it from there, Webpack's smart enough to shake that out. So I naively assume that. Right. So on submit, we just need to do what we did previously, and we'll just do a const. We'll do const thread. Thread. What did we have in login? No, we didn't do anything here. That's because we didn't need to do anything. We were just pushing to the next page. Here, though, we actually want to push to that page, but we don't have that specified just yet. What should we do? We'll just say thread for now, and then we can push to it later. So we're going to need to destructure this mutation name. That's what's going to come back in the response. That is how GraphQL works. And we'll await Hasura user client dot request, and we'll pass in insert thread as our mutation, And then our variables will be category ID, title, and message. Now, if we run console.log and we log user inserts 1, we should get an object back with just the ID because that is all we are requesting from here. Let's just go ahead and request the author name to make sure that it created the relations for us. And we'll also get the category name as well, just to make sure that these relations all worked. And we'll also return the post message. Why don't we return the whole lot and just make it easier? So we're returning everything about the thread that we care about at this point. We also had created at as well, which was a field that the system takes care of. So why don't we just check that it all works, right? Let's open up. Let's give this a try. We'll head over here and JavaScript. Hello world. We'll click. I'll open network and click post. It made a post request. It's sent our mutation. And we get an invalid header, missing authorization header in JWT authentication mode. So it hasn't sent that header across. It's not sent the header across. Why is that? So Hasura user client. Hasura user client. If the window is not equal to undefined, go ahead and specify user and then get token from user, and that's getting it from Jamstack auth. Is that the name? Yeah, Jamstack forum auth is the name of our persisted auth. We can't use this. I'm trying to think, is there anything Hasura user client. If that's defined, let's just go ahead and console log token. We'll see if token's defined. Token is undefined. Why? I logged in. Let's log out. Log in. ABC123. Let's ask a question. Missing authorization header. Missing authorization header in authentication mode. So it's not getting the header from here, which is odd. Don't think that matters because it hasn't got the token anyway. Like I say, there's probably a better way to do this. I'm trying not to overcomplicate things at this stage. Just trying to get things going. So we get in the Jamstack forum auth from did we console log this? So it's got the user here. That's really hard to read. Let's return an object. Oh, okay. But that's parsed, right? What is going on? Let's return. Just console that user again. it's stringified, right? And we parsed it before. There's something glaringly obvious here that I'm not able to tell at 10 past 10 at night. User is here. But why? Why does it look like that? What are we doing wrong? Let's open up Twitter. Let's see. No love on Twitter. I'm all by myself. Got a few people watching. But nobody's watching right now to point it out. I wish Michael was here. Michael was pointing out obvious errors the other day, which was good. User.user.token? Nope. Console.log json.parse user. Okay, that is wild. That is wild. Did we do something wrong? So it's fetching the item. Let's refresh. It's just returning the string value from local storage. Right. We parsed that, and it's saying we have to parse it again. That is weird. I don't know what I've done wrong. We're saving the value, we're stringifying the value and adding that in. And it's going in stringified, it's coming out unstringified in the auth context, like we've got here. I wonder if this library is doing anything with the value, whether that's stringifying it when it's going back in, and I'm stringifying it, so it's been like double stringified. We're passing the value here from the saved auth state, and we are stringifying the initial value only. And then when we save it again, we are stringifying the state as well. And we're just that is overriding. That's overwriting everything that's in there. So I don't know why we have to parse it twice. I'm going to look into this library, I think. We should look into that and see what it's doing, because we shouldn't be doing this, right? It's just weird. So now let's go ahead, we'll click post. Could not verify JWT, invalid signature. Could not verify, blah, 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 blah. But let's see if it sent the header this time. Did it send a header? It didn't even send the header. Oh no, it did. Authorization. Authorization. Here. Now I'm gonna guess the problem that we have with this signature is the value. If we remember back to the episode 2 or 3, the string we were using had all sorts of weird characters in it. So I'm just going to generate off screen a secret key. And then I'm going to go into Hasura and I'm going to update that key. And off screen, I'm going to go ahead and open up the environment variable. Code env.local. We'll open that, and I'm going to update the secret, the JWT secret. I'm going to do the same in Hasura. So, can I click user? No. Do I have to go back? How do I get to settings? How do I get back to where I was? Do I have to go to Hasura and log in? Log in. I'm just going to move this to a different screen. I'm going to add that. I'm going to add that secret back. I can't remember what the name of the endpoint was now. This is called mod installing. We'll edit the environment variables for mod installing. I'm doing this in a separate window just so I don't expose that key. Okay, I've done that. That's the JWT secret. And if we go back into here, we'll clear this and we'll do npm run dev once more. That will get the new Hasura secret key. And we will probably have to log in once more. So log out. We'll log out. We'll just say hello world. Hey. Oh, we need to log in again. JB, graph CMS. ABC 1, 2, 3. Save that. And we'll go to ask a question. And we'll just say hello world. And then hey. Now if we press post. Missing authorization header. We've just fixed this problem. Hello world. Hello. Post. Okay, so that worked that time. I don't know what's going on here, but that's worked there. It's returned. It's first of all sent a request to Hasura with our authorization header. And it's returned the author, which is connected automatically based off the token. And it's also created the category as well. And then returning to us the ID and posts. So it's working to some extent, but we've got some weird stuff going on. We're having to kind of double parse the JSON that comes back. And then this, once we log in, that token isn't being set. I'm guessing because this is ran. This only runs once, and there's no need. This is not watching for anything to change. So maybe what we have to do is, maybe we put this in auth as well. I don't know. I'm not too sure, but maybe we have to do something in here like const request or GraphQL client, and that takes in the query in variables. We'll just say it takes in arguments, and then it returns. It returns a new GraphQL client. I'm just going to try this. This is probably not what we should be doing. So it's going to return a new GraphQL client. Oh, that's going to get confusing. We'll just call this should we just call this Hasura or database? I don't know. I don't know what we should be calling this. We'll import GraphQL request. We'll do this here. And then token is going to be state.token. So this should update at this point because this will update. And then we haven't got to worry about the whole watching local storage. Hasura client. We'll call this Hasura client because then we know we're talking to Hasura in case we bring any additional things in. There's no arguments, is there? No. It's just returning a client. Should we return a callback? Maybe. If we've got any suggestions on this, what we want to do is return a client. But obviously, I only want this to update when the token updates. So the client's pretty much the same, but we only want to update the token when it changes. So I'm not sure what we should be doing here. Should we be using React use memo and then passing in that dependency? I'm not too sure. Let's return the Hasura client for the dispatch. This just means anytime we want to make a request to Hasura, we've got to import this client and I'm not sure if this is the best approach. I'm not sure if this is the best approach because we can't use this inside of get static props. I mean, this should work, right? This should work for what we're doing here when we're creating something, but it's not going to work and get side static props. I don't think anyway. Yeah, if you have any suggestions, if anyone's watching this, either now or later, and has any suggestions on what we should be doing, what I'm trying to do is essentially just kind of return a client that includes the token if local storage has it, and if it doesn't, you know, we want whenever a token is updated inside of local storage, we want it to be included in the headers. We can't do it inside of a hook because we'll not always be able to use a hook. Obviously, I don't think you can use hooks inside of to get initial props. No, you couldn't. It's just it's just on render, right? Yeah, so I'm a little unsure at the moment how we proceed with that. It does work the way we have it. Obviously that token just isn't updating unless we refresh the page because then this code runs again. We can obviously return a function. That function could return the client. And when that function runs, it will do it. I don't think this is the right way to be doing things, but the answer is shouting out at me. So this is the attempt that I was about to do. but I've just remembered we'll be calling this function in pages that can't access hooks. And that was a dispatch method. So we can't do that. So we've got to figure out how to get this to work. And let's go here. I'm going to log out. I'm going to log in. I'm going to log in here. I'm going to go blah, blah, blah. I'm going to click login. I'm going to open my dev tools. I'm going to ask a question and click post. We get an issue Hasura client. Hasura user client.request is not a function. Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to work. I can't actually think right now. Might just call it a day and we'll pick this back up tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure the best way to proceed with that. I'll have a think. I'll sleep on it. It's just getting late and I'm not too sure how to proceed. Yeah, because this is a function, right? So we could do const client, then we'll do client. Will this work? Yeah, that works. I really don't want to do that though. Maybe there's no other way. Maybe there is. Maybe I have to watch for that state changing. And I can't grab from here we have the token inside of the context API, but we just can't we can't put all our eggs in one basket there because this function is to run when there's user context and when there is no user context. So this token, the token really permits more actions on the API. So the token is purely just there for people who are logged in. And if you aren't logged in, well, you can make all of the same requests. You just get kind of different responses. You'll not be allowed to make certain mutations and things. So that's why we've kind of got this one file. Although this is just disgusting, but I'm not sure if there's a better way. So I'm just doing client here. We could call this Hasura. And we'll do await Hasura.request. And that works. And then what we want to actually do is we do want to do router.push. So let's bring in the router here. And we'll do use router or router. We'll import use router or router from next router. And this, my friend, will go in here. We'll do /threads and then we'll send them to /threads.id. We'll probably later introduce slugs, so it's a bit more friendly. But if we do hello world once again, hey, and click post, boom, it's going straight to the endpoint that we needed to. Yes. I'm going to try that flow once more with that function the way we have it. I'm going to see if it works. So we press post now, nothing happens, nothing happens. That's going to get an error. We need to, at this point, return. So this is the error from Hasura. It's not very nice that there's a missing authorization header. If anyone is going to, we don't want to return that error because it just doesn't make sense. Although you shouldn't be able to get to this point without running that, so it doesn't matter too much. But that error is still not nice regardless. So we'll probably have to make that look a bit nicer. I'm now going to log in without refreshing this time. We're going to see if we can read that function. And we'll do title, hello. Then it goes, okay, so it's working. That's working. I do not like the implementation of this. So maybe there's a better suggestion on what we do here. But yeah, I know just the person to ask here for this. It's probably worth experimenting with this a bit more. But let's push this up. Let's get this working. Let's have a look at what else we need to do. We need to open up GitHub, notrab/Jamstack forum. We'll go to our issues. And then we've got create an ask page and form, which we've done. It doesn't have in any of the fancy what you see is what you get editors. But for now, all that really matters is we've got the fields in here for our title, category, and message. So yeah, create an index of threads. That's the next task. Create an index of threads. And create the ask page form. We'll come back. I think what we're going to do to begin with is we're just going to get all of the functionality working, and then we'll come back and we'll style it with Tailwind, and we'll make things look a bit nicer. We'll probably add some minimal styling as we go, create boxes, borders, and what have you, just to kind of visually add some kind of depth and clarity between elements. But for now, I think we're there on this task. Let's see what we had to do. Let's take the category, title and message, and send that to the API with our JWT. We've done that. So this is issue number 7. So let's create a pull request for now, and we'll just switch to a new branch, and we'll call this ask form page, and we'll just go ahead and we'll just add everything. And we'll do feat added ask form page, and then we'll push that up. And again, it's complaining at me. I have got this set in my config, but something's not working today. Why it's asking me to do that? It normally just does it when I branch off. We'll create a pull request. We'll enter the body, and we'll say this closes number 7, and we'll submit that pull request. So now if we have a look on GitHub, we've got this pull request, and we've got a preview in process with Hasura, with Vercel. And this should take a few seconds, and it will automatically deploy a preview for us, and we can check. Wow, look how fast that was. So that's give us a preview. Let's try and log in on here. And I have updated the environment variables on Vercel, I hope. So I think this should work. There we go. So we're logged in here. We can ask a question. So, hello, Vercel. Hey. We'll press post. This should redirect us to a 404, but the URL should have threads in. Okay. I didn't update the token, so we updated the token locally for JWT secret, but we haven't updated that on Vercel. That has the new value in. So I'll go and do that now. But you should be able to now log in and register, and in about 5 minutes, once I've updated the token in Vercel, you'll be able to create a post, and then those posts will come through, and they will be inside of this table here. So you can see we've got these here, and then we've got the associated posts with those threads as well. So those are coming through to Hasura. Why don't I, on another window, just very quickly update Vercel, and I'm going to update the environment variables for that JWT. And it was Hasura GraphQL JWT secret. I'll delete it in preview mode. and I'll open up that file once again in a new window. I'll get that secret, and I'll add that secret to Vercel. So I've added that secret inside of Vercel. I'll just go ahead and save that. And there we go. So I've added this secret back in here. So these are the 3 secrets I have in Vercel for preview and production. The idea of this is if you're using the CLI, the development tokens will come down for you. So say, for example, somebody's collaborating on the project with us. They don't actually need to know what the variables are. Vercel will just inject those for us through the CLI, which is nice. Preview is for our pull request previews, so you can have different environments. We could have, we will set up a different Hasura instance. So in the future, we'll interact with Hasura on pull requests in a separate environment. We're not messing with production, and then production has our production values. So if I go back to deployments and let's open this and go to redeploy. We'll redeploy that. And this should only take a few seconds. Let's see how long this takes. Sweet. So we'll refresh. And we'll go to login. We'll log in with our account. There we go. Ask a question. Post. And then we get redirected to the ID of the thread. So we know that works. We don't have this page. We'll probably do this tomorrow or the day after. So yeah, let's go ahead and merge that pull request because we know it's good. We'll merge this. And then now we're down to 7 issues. We'll need to add some more. So next thing tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll create an index view for our threads. Let's see what we need to include tomorrow. We need to include the title, thread author, the last post, the date and time of the last post, the avatar of the last post, labels for locked and closed, and the post count. Now I think we can get most of this data in. We might not style it because it's probably just going to take us more time, but let's just go through the basic functionality and getting this up and running, and then we'll come back to styling it, like I say, later in the week. Let's try and get much of this done as we can in the next few days, and then we can go from there. So thank you very much for watching. If you found this useful, please let me know. And to everyone that is watching, hey, and thanks for joining. If you got any questions or any suggestions on how I can improve, please let me know, and we'll go from there. So enjoy.